Good morning. I'm trying to keep my voice down because everyone's still asleep. But it's taper week for Harry, with Swansea on Sunday this week. So he's just getting ready with all the tapering before the race. So we're going to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes of what he gets up to during a taper week. Harry always starts his day with coffee, which I bring him every morning. So I'll make his coffee and then he can start the day. I think we'll give him this chicken mug. Morning. After his morning coffee, which I make him every morning, we give him his laptop because he normally does a bit of work before we get started with the week or the day.
Can I just say something?
No.
We've been together for a while now. Feels like forever.
Does it?
She's never made me a bloody coffee in bed.
Why are you lying?
I'm trying to be authentic and real.
Wow.
I've never had. I don't think you know.
Morning.
I don't think you know where the coffee machine is.
It's because I do it while you're still asleep.
Really?
So while Harry does some work, we're gonna go make him his breakfast.
This is not real.
Like every morning. We're having to be really careful at the minute with what Harry has food-wise, because some bits agree with his stomach and some bits don't. So it's a bit of trial and error at the minute. So we've been trying this Alpro vanilla yogurt for maybe the last month or so, which seems to get on with his stomach really well. We did try having blueberries with it, but we decided the blueberries actually didn't work with his stomach. He kept getting stomach pain with them. So a nice big dollop of Alpro. We're trying to generally, or Harry's trying to generally, stay away from dairy, which seems to be going quite well actually. He's not suffered too much as a result, which is good, but it's difficult. I mean, he's trying really hard to control the uncontrollable with the stomach problems, but some days are better than others, so then we look at what he's eaten that day and maybe try to change that. A nice big chunk of honey. So just like every morning, that's Harry's breakfast. You're welcome. Like every morning.
Like every morning. This is. Yeah.
It's taper week, race week.
Yeah.
What's the plan for today?
It's Tuesday today, so yeah, we're full like taper mode. Been working hard the last few weeks, so feeling a little bit fatigued, but we still want to keep the body revved up. Just like lower volume this week, a lot lower volume, but just keeping some good intensity. So the swim will be quite intense as well. And that's about it really, just getting everything ready, enjoying the shit weather. Not. Hopefully it'll be good weather on the weekend. I have no idea what the forecast will be, but because it's Wales it can change every 5 minutes. So yeah, and just putting the finishing touches together, really. That's it.
Can we ask you some questions about tapering?
If you have to.
What is a taper and why do we need it?
God. People can Google these. Okay, I'll try not to draw this out too long. Basically, you're going to be in a really fatigued state with all your training, so a taper is to sharpen you up ready for race day so that you can perform at your best, basically.
So when should you do your last long run or your last long bike or long session generally?
Completely depends on the type of person you are and whether you like feeling a bit more recovered going into a race or not. Also depends on the race distance. If it's a shorter distance race, you can get away with a longer, harder session closer to the race. And then if it's a full Ironman, yeah, I mean, you want to start tapering 2 to 3 weeks before the race. If it's 10.3, I would say a week before, it's plenty. You don't need to do much more than that. So my last longer ride was Saturday before the race the following Sunday.
So what you're saying essentially is, depending on the length of race, would depend on the length of your taper and when it starts?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the benefits then? Why should I taper?
Because you don't want to feel shit. Just so you can be recovered going into the race, mentally, physically ready, sharp. You can hit the numbers you want to hit. But then there's a caveat to that is, if you over taper and you recover too much, you can then get lethargic, and actually it can feel, if anything, worse going into a race over recovered than under recovered. I would actually almost rather go into a race a bit more revved up, carrying a little bit more fatigue, because I know I can still perform, whereas when you're really recovered, you're just sleepy and horrible. Like, the sensations are very similar, but it's not very nice. So it's a balancing act. And it's finding what works well for you.
Okay, what about the safety aspects of tapering? Obviously you're a week out from race day. You don't want to be getting ill
5
or
days.
injured.
Yeah, so I mean, you can see it's raining. So even if I wasn't racing on the weekend, I'd still be on the turbo. But with the race coming up, you just want to like bubble wrap yourself a little bit. Luckily, it's just Swansea we're going to, so we don't need to think about flights and being at the airport and stuff like that. But if that's something you need to consider, then think about staying away from as many people as you can, face mask, stuff like that, wash your hands. But for me, I'm thinking about not riding outside, even if it's dry, just like less possibility of contact with cars, stuff like that. Sounds a bit rude, but staying away from like people, and just being clean, hygienic, and making sure you're giving yourself the best chance possible to be fit and healthy.
And finally, what would be your 3 top tips for tapering?
3 top tips for tapering. Number 1, reduce your overall volume. Number 2, keep a high amount of intensity, or a good amount of intensity, just keep revved up. Number 3 is protect yourself. Just get a good amount of rest. Keep washing your hands, stuff like that. Don't come into contact with too many other people if you can do that. And just be really sensible. And then a 4th one, extra one, would be just trust that it will come good on race day, because a lot of the time during a taper you can feel pretty shit. The numbers cannot be very good. Like, I'm expecting this bike session to actually feel quite hard, and these are numbers I should easily hit on race day. But it's just knowing that we're going through that process and it will come good on race day, but you will likely feel pretty shit the week leading up to the race. Wednesday now, bike is in the bike shop. I've got the race day trim as well. I think this is a lot better than the last one, so we're making improvements. And I've just ordered the last of gels and everything else. I've got these bits as well. These are hair bands, which I'm going to use to attach my bottles, and also these things as well. Basically, I've just got different options, just because I've used elastic bands in the past. They snap. I don't want to be littering. I don't want to be the reason why there's random elastic bands in the middle of nowhere in Mumbles and Swansea. So something a little bit more secure and a little bit more permanent, because there are some pretty bumpy roads out there, and we're going to be traveling at pretty high speeds, fingers crossed. So need to make sure the bottles are pretty secure, and I'll show you the bottle setup and everything, nutrition wise, before the race in that video. But this video is just kind of explaining the taper, the process of the taper, and basically just kind of trying to think of every single possibility or everything that I need before the race, get it ordered, and just get it ready so you've got peace of mind. So I've got new goggles coming, everything like that. Everything's new, everything's fresh tyres, fresh chain, all of that stuff. Just gives you that peace of mind. I know tyres, chains, stuff like this can be expensive, and you can get away with it to a degree, but if you want to be as efficient and as fast as possible, replacing them fairly regularly for racing is gonna be a really, really good idea. So that's kind of the process that I'm going through now. And then I kind of wanted to touch on actually a little bit about, like the stomach, the health issues. People keep asking me, how's that stuff going? Because it's still something that I'm figuring out in the background. Essentially, I went through a big process with the sports doctor, doing different testing, blood tests, stool samples tests, saw a gastroenterologist, and basically we've kind of concluded that there's nothing serious going on. It's just kind of IBS, like irritable bowel syndrome. So that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? So good because it's nothing like crazy. It's not like Crohn's disease or there's nothing else like that severe going on. Bad because I was almost praying that it was going to be something where they just go, this is what it is and this is what you have to do to get better and job done. Unfortunately, as with life in general, those things don't really happen. It doesn't happen like that. There's a bit more of a kind of rocky path to get to that final destination, and that's definitely kind of the path that I'm on at the minute. And so essentially, IBS is just figuring out what triggers you, or if it's a certain thing that triggers you, or if it's a certain amount of something that triggers you, or if it's a stress can trigger it, loads of different things. And so essentially I'm writing a diary every single day of what I eat, how I feel when I eat it, how I feel after eating it, how I feel in training, all of this kind of stuff. It's a long process to get to a point where I can figure out what foods I need to avoid or type of food I can have, but a little bit of, and an amount that I can tolerate without going overboard, essentially. So there's quite a few foods that I've completely cut out now. Essentially stuff like, dairy, some other things that trigger me, like raw kind of vegetables, stuff like that. Certain breads can really trigger me, actually, but I will do a full video of kind of what I eat in a day now, because it has changed quite considerably based on the information that I've got from the doctor and the stuff that I've kind of just been finding out about myself, essentially. But going forward to the race and how I'm implementing this into my race day, essentially what I used to do, and this was a really stupid thing, is treat race week very differently and completely change my diet. And that just doesn't really make sense. You want to have the same stuff, like it's just a normal week. Treat it like a normal week. And yes, maybe a day or two before race day, you want to cut back on stuff like fiber, and you want to be having really simple things just to make sure that you're not going to have the risk of an upset stomach or whatever. But I was almost taking it too far. So this week, essentially, I'm keeping it very simple, but I'm focusing on like getting into a good routine, a similar routine that I've been in the last few weeks. Seems to be going well. And then before the race, I'm just going to have my classic rice and chicken and then a shit ton of bread and jam. And that should do me good. So that's kind of, I'm looking forward to diving deeper into this process, but I will be doing a full day of eating and talking about the food groups or the types of food that I'm really avoiding and things that have triggered me, because if this can help someone else out there who's struggling with this kind of thing, then that would be really good, and that would be a success. So it's still things that are lingering in the background, but I'm getting to the bottom of it. I'm working hard and the training's feeling good. I'm just about to head off on a run now, prep run for the weekend, and I'll make sure I do a race day video of this weekend. I unfortunately don't have James with me, but I do have family members and friends that hopefully will get some footage, and then can get back in contact with James pretty soon and get some high quality stuff out to you guys. So pretty basic video, but I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing you at the race day if you're going to be there. Best of luck to everyone, and I'm looking forward to it myself. So I'll see you in the next video.